gonna put a clap to sync this all.
Oh, wow.
Okay, good to go.
Okay, ready? Let me start by saying welcome back to KJZZ.
All right. Sounds nice.
You and I were just talking. You were like 14 or 15 the last time they were
I don't know. I just remember growing up watching it. I don't know how long ago it was, but this is cool.
What does that mean to you to have not only the access to your fans, because I remember you had made a comment a month or two ago and you said even if you have rabbit ears, we're going to make sure you get it, and now it's a reality because of KJZZ. What does that mean to you?
Look, the organization, Jim Olson, our crew has been working on this for a long time. I mean, it's been a 1.5-year project, and the amount of work it's taken has been it's been a pretty heavy lift because we've actually shifted an entire business model to be able to get back, and in a ways we're taking a step backwards and a step forward at the same time. And I think our ability to control and be able to curate the experience for our fans, and you know, being the fastest growing state in the country, in all of these new jazz fans, being the youngest state in the country, we just want to make it so no matter who you are, where you are, you can be part of the action. And that's going to be a big increase, and I think that's super exciting for our coaches, for our players, for the organization to say, hey, you guys are all working so hard, like you deserve to have it out there.
Right. When you first heard the news about the demise of other broadcast partners, how long did it take for you to maybe digest that and look at it as maybe an opportunity rather than a setback?
So look, we had plenty of options. We had plenty of options to stay in an older type model. Mm-hmm. We had plenty of options. I mean, the Jazz are in this market is a very sought after market. If you look at the ratings of the Jazz over the last couple of years, they've been pretty amazing in where we stack up. So it wasn't that we were forced to go into 100% of this model. We could have really reached and gone, but we did look at it and say, hey, if there was ever a time to do this, this is it. And then kind of where we ended up is probably not where we thought we could, and it's truly because of our organization staying with it and kind of filling out this vision. And there was a little bit of a nostalgia of coming back to KJZZ. You know, I think of it, I always think of Hornacek and 14 and like the way this goes. And I was talking to Jeff the other day going, hey, you should just, everyone remembers you. Like, it's your number. Like, let's go out. Like,
that's a great point. I like the marketing ideas.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect. It's interesting that you're kind of a pioneer. And yet, like you said, it's like back to the future. I mean, we've cycled around, but no one else in the NBA is doing this right now. The Suns tried to, and they're going through some issues, but I suspect you might be getting a lot of phone calls from people wondering how this model is put together, how it's going to work. Do you view yourself in that way at all? Because it's an ever-changing landscape.
Look, the only way to make this possible is the growth of the state. Like, if you look at our growth, our fan base, we've historically been showing to about 30 to 40% of our fan base, and because of the growth and us being able to take advantage of the growth of Utah, we're not a small market. We're a mid-sized market, and I think we'll be a mid to upper-sized market as we go forward. Because of that shift over the last 10 years in market size, it makes it possible. Because I think when we signed that last TV deal, we're probably in a different spot as a state. And I think that the last 10 years in the state has changed everything.
So if it weren't for that growth and the, say, fan base, this would be more problematic.
It would be hard. It would be really hard because I think it just the model that we're looking at is much more of, hey, how do we get as many eyeballs on our games as possible? And I think that's really exciting for fans. But this really isn't about that. It's really about the fan experience. Yeah. We have a chance to provide a better fan experience for everyone, and it's the world I come from, and I think it's something I saw from day one. And by the way, this wasn't historically a Jazz problem. This is a television problem. Yeah. And so this allows us to do that, and it's not just a KJazz thing. There's a direct-to-consumer offering where people can go to utahjazz.com, There'll be an offering for folks outside of the state of Utah for the first time ever, which I think will be pretty cool, because we do have a lot of fans in Idaho and Wyoming and everywhere else, and I think it connects us all.
You talked about I thought this was interesting, not so much a deal or an agreement, but a partnership with KJZZ. Explain that a little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, someone asked about, hey, the long term, how long's the deal for? And right. I think when we think of our prior deals, they were, hey, we're signing a 10-year deal, we're entering a 10-year deal. And I think part of the reason why we're all in this spot is the landscape's changed. You've got streaming, you've got cord cutters, you've got a bunch of folks out there who are wanting to consume media in different lights and how they do it. And those historical contracts have been a little prohibitive. And so we view this as, hey, let's go together as a partnership and let's go figure out the future together. And there's a lot of hope in creating a great partnership.
You definitely have solved the problem for the family that wants to go sit in front of their television now. Now they don't have to worry, like you said, even if you have rabbit ears, it's going to work. What about the digital aspect? And did I understand it correctly? You're going to bring this in-house.
Yeah, so we will offer a streaming service on Utah Jazz. We'll probably work closely with the NBA. They've got a next generation platform that's pretty impressive that they've spent a lot of time and energy and money on. And I think that we can help them kind of step into the future from that standpoint. But we want one seamless experience on the app on utahjazz.com. So there's no confusion on where to go. And I think apart from nationally televised games, whether it's TNT or ESPN, like every game should be on there.
That's interesting. I didn't think about the nationally televised thing. So will they no longer be able to split, as far as you know? Because sometimes you were on AT and TSN and TNT.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we're figuring all that out as we work through this. It also depends on geographic, so we'll work through all that. This is a subscription-based model where people will sign up for, and there's a fee, and it's behind a paywall there, similar to everyone else, but it's going to be good.
Did you learn anything at all from, and I don't know where you sit on the RSL and the MLS deal with Apple TV, but that's, for a lot of fans, that's problematic. It's difficult for them to get to that, and up until this year, it was on, like KJZZ was on KMYU, which they could watch. When you look at that model versus what you're trying to do, is that something that you thought, well, we don't want to get stuck? I mean, you may eventually get there if the NBA takes everything, but who knows?
I think if you just back up and you say, from a fan experience standpoint, how do we consume games? And I think the first thing, or the mistake you can make, is that everyone's the same. And if I went and created like a segment analysis of our fan base, you're going to have folks who want to sit at home and watch on TV like they do the news and everything else. You're going to have folks who want to watch on their iPad or their iPhone on the go. You have folks who want to stream and do watch parties. You've got folks that want to capture, right or wrong, just snippets of the game. And so I think anytime you have a single platform model, it's going to be a little more challenging going forward. And there's hope that everything will become on one platform. What we're doing is we're going to produce our own games and we're going to curate, but as a media company, we're actually creating a multi-platform model.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So we have a chance to hit every single segment the way they want to consume media. And I think that's going to be a moving endeavor.
Right.
And I think we're set up to not only fit that currently with this new announcement, but also from a future standpoint of where it's going to go.
So for the fan who's been waiting for something like this, you've had tweets, you've had phone calls. What do you say to them on a day like this?
Hey, it's here. Like, I think that this has not been an easy process, but hopefully every single segment feels like they got a win today.
Right.
And that's hard to do.
You can find it somewhere.
Yep.
No matter what.
Yep.
Can I ask you just a couple quick questions
Yeah,
about the week? Draft day coming up. You get 9 to start with. Number 9. I suspect you would love it if you'd have been higher up. But what is your hope for Thursday?
So first of all, the organization here is incredible. I mean, the experience we have in the draft room is like nothing I've seen. Whether it's Luca from the international side or Chuck from the college side. You got 23 years, Danny Ainge, who's drafted as well as anyone in the history of the NBA. Justin Zanuck. It's exciting to be with that group. You've got Will Hardy in there, and the collaboration between this team has been exhilarating. It's been fun. And I think everyone sees that, right? I think people saw that last year. And so I'm excited for just the art of the possible and what this organization can do. I think no one can really predict the next 3 days. It's a marketplace, and like no one in the league knows really how that's all going to play out. And it's a closed marketplace, so you all need to work together as teams if people are moving or trading or drafting. And I think we're prepared to do what we need to do with our picks, and we'll see what happens in that marketplace.
Well, it's a great point. We've been in the building now for about an hour, and Danny hasn't gotten off his phone.
Yeah. So I mean, Danny and Jay-Z, and they're glued at the hip right now. I think they both probably slept in the facility last night. But you know, I trust them immensely. I think every Jazz fan should just know that we're in phenomenal hands there, and I'm excited to watch them work. And it's not clear cut. I mean, you're betting on the future of kids at 18 and 19, which is a lot of that first 10 picks of the draft. Is like we've got a very young draft, and it's also about talent development and health and positional size, and so it'll be fun.
And you brought the draft party back.
Yeah, I mean there was that was kind of funny, but yeah, it'll be good. Like, we want our fans to be able to show up. People are excited about that. We've got an event going on Friday, so we had to at least move around, and that was the only date that event would work. But you know, we'll have some of our players pop over, and it should be fun.
Well, look at you, a nostalgic guy. We were talking about some things need to come back. KJazz, some of the uniforms, draft party,
Delta Center,
the Delta Center to top it all off. I mean, that's pretty cool that, you know, you go back to the roots of this organization.
No, this organization. I mean, we're going into our 50th year. Like, and that's pretty incredible. And this organization has been through a lot. We've accomplished a lot. I'm a fan first. I mean, you know, I think I'm one of the only people in a spot like I'm in who grew up, you know, like everyone else, cheering for the Jazz, and we know all the ups and downs and the pain of that, right? And we're not going to tiptoe into a championship. We're going to need to be aggressive, and we're going to need to do some unconventional things. But I think there's a lot of hope. The goal is to win a championship. And, you know, we can be nostalgic and we can do all that, but at the same time, like, if we can progress and go forward, we're looking forward always. We're not looking back. It's nice to remember, but we're looking forward and saying, hey, how do we get there? How do we build? And I think we've got the best team on the planet to go do that, with the dynamic between DA and Jay-Z and coach. And I always believe you just put the best people in the spots and get out of the way. And that's really like how I feel about this organization right now. That's good, because not all owners are that way. So. Well, for good or for better or worse. Right. I mean, I don't know. But I like to be involved too. I think it's fun.
Well, again, thank you so much for your time, and welcome to KJZZ.
All right, that's kind of cool to say, right? Thanks, Dave.
I love it, man.
All right, man.
Okay, thanks, Ryan.